Welcome back to another episode of Hoop Sense. Trey Edwards.
Mike Zakarian.
Man, it's been some time.
I know, right? We are, we're like 30% into the season already, I think. I saw that put out there.
Yeah, I mean, it's been good, but it's a lot of injuries.
Yeah, it's a ton of injuries.
A lot of injuries, man. But, always fun to record the show.
Yeah.
Get back in here and talk some basketball, talk some sense.
Talk some hoop sense.
Hoops.
And in person.
Yes, always better in person. Always better in person. So let's just jump right into it, man. We got the Emirates NBA Cup coming up.
Yes, sir.
You're going.
We are going. We have a very early flight tomorrow, but we will be out there for both semifinals games and for the finals on Tuesday.
Who are you most excited? First of all, before we even start that, the semifinals schedule is set. We have the Hawks versus the Bucks, Rockets versus Thunder. Let me hear your predictions.
I think the Thunder will win. I think the whole cup. I think the Thunder's winning the whole cup. I think it'll be a close game against Houston, and then I kind of think they're going to smoke whoever they take in the East.
Wow.
I do. I think so, and I think Bucks will win a close one against Atlanta too. So I think we'll get Bucks Thunder, and then I think Thunder.
I have to piggyback off that and say yes, Bucks Thunder, but also like I don't know if it's going to be easy, but I do like the Thunder winning it. That's my choice as well. So pretty fun, pretty exciting. But yeah, you're going out there. Did you get a chance to go last year?
Yes, I went out there last year. So I'm excited. I feel like I have a better handle on the Vegas situation for the Cup this year. So I'm a little bit more excited. Also, the schedule change they made. If you remember last year, the semifinals were on a Thursday.
I was there.
Oh yeah, that's right. And like that first game, I mean,
it was 1:30.
It was 1:30 on a Thursday afternoon in December, and you could go if you didn't have tickets. You probably could have gotten in there pretty late. So
speaking of tickets, they're very affordable. So if you like basketball,
yes,
go watch some basketball in Las Vegas, Nevada. So with all that being said, I wanted to segue into this conversation we talked about offline about people complaining about the lack of stars in this matchup in Vegas, but there are stars. You have Jalen Green, you have Giannis Antetokounmpo, you have Damian Lillard playing, you have Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. The list goes on, right? You got Trae Young.
You have multiple MVP candidates playing.
Right? So what is the issue? Like, why are people complaining? Are people, my argument was, and not even an argument, my discussion was on Blue Sky about, are people fans of the stars and headlines versus are people fans of basketball? And it seems like there are people that are here for stars.
Yeah, but I would even say like the Lakers and the Warriors made it, right? I think the conversation would be like, wow, the NBA is really hanging on to the old guard of NBA star. Like that's where they're really in trouble if they don't make it. Like I think no matter what the situation would be, the spin would be negative. Because I don't understand. I mean, OKC are title favorites right now. They are playing some of the best basketball. You have Giannis averaging over 32 points a game, shooting 50% on the season. Trae Young, like there's a lot of fun action going there. I just think it's like the culture that we're in right now, where we're like, oh, everything's going to crap, you know? Because I'm very confused by the dialogue, and everybody talking about the ticket prices too. Who's that dialogue for? Why are people upset about let big business figure out the ticket prices? You should be happy because if they were $250 a pop, the conversation would be like, oh, who's going to pay that to go?
You know what that sounds like? Hoop sense. Talking hoop sense into people, because again, if you are a basketball fan and you've been complaining about ticket prices and cable, being blacked out games and not being able to see your favorite players, you actually can afford a good seat to see some of these NBA stars play. So at the end of the day, this is a win. I think the narrative needs to be flipped. It's not like, oh, it's at the lowest or this and that. No, you get to see basketball. You know what I mean? Like it's kind of weird. And fans hate everything.
They just are upset. I think if you stepped away from it for a second too, you can understand, like, people are having to make pretty quick decisions because you don't know if you are just a fan of the Knicks, you were probably not booking your trip your trip until the Knicks made it through, right? So it's like a lot of last minute travel you need to figure out. So if you wanted to have a conversation with me about like, hey, should we move the semifinals and finals a little bit later to kind of like build some hype around it, like get fans an opportunity to get their stuff together to go? Sure, I'm willing to have that conversation. But I just like miss me with the ratings and the cheap tickets talk. Like that's not for me.
Right.
You know, I don't care.
I don't think it should be for anybody at the end of the day. I mean, that's for people who actually get paid and rely on that.
Right.
As a fan, listen, most of the time, and the funny thing about it, it's just a conversation. People can watch the game anyway.
Right. 100%. Anybody that's listening to anybody talk about the ratings of the NBA is watching the NBA. Like that, I'll never understand. I'll never understand the obsession around it. That's for Adam Silver to make sure that the league gets paid every time a TV rights deal's up. That's for people like Comcast to figure it out. That's not for me. I don't need the ratings.
We like you, Comcast, by the way.
Yeah, shout out Comcast.
Moving on, BYU lands the #1 player.
It's crazy. 7 million, I believe, right?
Hey, I don't know numbers, but AJ DeBansta, #1 player. He had some interesting quotes come out about, he would potentially want to play with the Spurs and another team. I think it was Oklahoma.
Was it? Yeah, or somewhere, in that region. It was like in that region. I'm forgetting the team name now.
So what do you think about all this? My
first thought was, so say it's 7 million. If BYU was located in California, would it be 4 million? Do you think like that was like a Utah tax of an extra 3 million?
I don't know if it's the Utah tax, but like you would have to pay me to stay in Utah.
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
You know what I mean? I've been to Utah, and I'm not saying that BYU isn't fun, but as a 1-year rental, not even in 1 year.
It's like 6 months, right?
6 months, tops. I like what Kevin Young and staff over there is doing, but it's gonna be interesting because I mean, we got a similar situation with VJ Edgecombe, who's at Baylor, and like they're not winning ball games, but obviously he's a lottery pick in high regard. You know what I mean? So like in this situation, if AJ can't deliver, or get them to the dance or however it is, he's still going to be probably consensus #1.
I can't imagine that changes. Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It is crazy. And it's funny. I'm pro students getting the bag for all of the attention that they're bringing in. Like at no point am I saying like, I'm glad it's them getting the money and not more money to like the 1% of the institutions. It is bizarre. Like I still have not wrapped my head around it. I was tripping
off of it. Like they announced him at halftime of the BYU Fresno State game and he got a chance to just come out and I'm like, this is during a game.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like this is where we are. I like that, he gave some good quotes saying Kevin Durant is his favorite player, but he does not play like him.
Interesting.
He's more closer to a Shea and T-Mac.
Wow.
Which is, that's a high ceiling.
Also, how about Shea? I bet Shea hears that quote and he's like, man, he just put me with T-Mac. Like that's going to feel good for Shea too, right?
Does he feel like that?
Well, maybe Shea doesn't.
I mean, we're at the point, I seen Kazim say on X about, like we're at the point where you had to be there and T-Mac's one of those players.
Yeah.
Like, kids aren't going to understand.
I mean,
who would be your player if you had to be there?
If you had to be there, man, this is a sicko one. I'm just thinking of like my Boston Celtics fandom here. And when I was growing up, the Celtics were kind of rough. I got like back brace Larry Bird, and then it got ugly for a little while. But my guy Dino Raja. You remember Dino?
Shouts to Dino Raja, man. Dino Raja.
He got buckets.
I like Dino Raja.
Yeah.
I had a lot of Dino Raja's playing cards.
There we go.
For me, that you had to be there would have to be a Larry Hughes.
Oh, that's another good one.
Yeah. Like Larry Hughes, he could score the basket, but like he don't get a lot of love for what he was doing.
Yeah,
you know
I haven't seen the TikTok of Larry Hughes was the problem.
We got to get us a Family Guy Larry Hughes TikTok mix.
That's right.
Those edits have been amazing. Moving right on to Team of the Week. You have the Atlanta Hawks, which we spoke about playing in the Emirates Cup.
Yeah. Do you think, I'll just start it with this. Is Jalen Johnson like fringe all-star right now?
Man, I don't know why I'm fighting this.
Yeah, you're not vibing with it?
No, he's been great.
Yeah.
But like, I don't know. Maybe because it's just not a sexy enough name.
Yeah.
He makes the sexy plays. He's getting dunks every time. And like he's adding all these other things to the game. But I just gotta buy in a little bit more. I also don't see the Hawks getting in too.
Yeah, I mean, getting into would be crazy, and I feel like they fight letting Trey in there a couple of times too, like the voting committee. But I do think he gets in. Trey has been honest, and I feel like we're going to talk about Trey a little bit later too, so we don't have to get too deep into it. But like Atlanta, the Cavs have lost 4 games, 2 of them to the Hawks. Atlanta goes into MSG, and like, I don't know how many people watched that game. They looked so bad in that first half, and you would assume the Knicks kind of were going to shut the door on them, and Atlanta came on that third quarter and just like dominated, and they're deep. They got so many dudes, man. DeAndre Hunter. Who saw this coming from DeAndre Hunter?
DeAndre Hunter is potential most improved.
Potential most improved, potential 6th man.
Yeah.
Like he's been, and this is like year 6, I think, for DeAndre Hunter. You usually don't see this kind of like
I was waiting on for Cam Reddish, man.
Yeah, all right.
You know, those things. But again, it works the way Al High does, but DeAndre Hunter has been great for them.
Yeah, he's been so good.
You know, they're 6-4 in their last 10. Not too crazy, but enough to end up in the semifinals of the Emirates Cup and potentially, you know, play for something. We're going to talk about Trae Young, but like he has now been welcomed to the MVP conversation.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I mean, this team was written off early on. Like, you guys lost DeJounte Murray. Good luck.
Right.
Maybe Trae Young, you potentially can end up with the San Antonio Spurs or the Lakers. And he's kind of just like, you know, been really mature about it and become a real leader. And I think that's ultimate nod to Quinn Snyder and the Hawks organization to get him buying in.
I was getting nervous for Quinn Snyder too, just because there was so much like Quinn Snyder, one of the best coaches out there, energy when he was at Utah and then goes to Atlanta. You assume he's going to take over and Atlanta would flourish. And then it just kind of didn't happen. And then now, I don't know, is this year 3 of Quinn Snyder in Atlanta or year 4? But now they seem to have it rolling a little bit. So, and I mean, the East is like kind of wide open outside of Boston and Cleveland. Like if you told me they finished like in the top 3 or 4, you know, I wouldn't be crazy.
It's crazy. Memphis Grizzlies, 9-1 in their last 10, had a big win in Boston.
Yeah.
8 guys on their team are shooting over 35% from 3. Talk to me a little bit more about that.
I think they're like benefiting from being how injured they were last year. Like all of these guys that probably wouldn't have gotten extra run, got all of this run. And so now when they come in as role players, they play well. Ja misses a game. It's fine. You get Scottie Pippen Jr., who's playing great. Jaren Jackson Jr., man.
Scottie Pippen Jr. has been a
dude, he's been so nice. Honestly, it reminds me of like when Tyus Jones was backing up there, like backup point guard, where Ja comes out the game. They still have like, I don't know, an adult sounds like negative towards other backup point guards, but you know, he's just like very calm and in control of the flow of the game. But they're just like, it doesn't matter who's playing for him, night in or night out, whatever 7 or 8 guys they roll out there play really well. And I mean, they're second in the West right now. And still haven't been like, they haven't gotten full strength Desmond Bane yet.
Oh, Houston is second in the West.
I think they got, Houston's got, but I think they got the same record. I think they're both like 15 or 16-8 or something like that. But yeah, I mean, they've been great. And Ja, I love Ja. Yeah. He's like, I'm done dunking, and then pulls out that like reverse in Boston.
Carter-esque.
Yeah. I'm not dunking. Right.
Yeah, he still does his thing, man. Shouts to Taylor Jenkins and the Grizzlies.
Sure.
Miami Heat, 4-game winning streak, 7-3 last 10. Despite the Jimmy Butler rumors, Tyler Herro.
All-star Tyler Herro?
He might be all-star this year. That's why it's easier to dangle a Jimmy Butler. You know?
Yeah. Do you think they moved Jimmy?
Shams really isn't wrong most of the time. Yeah. And I think it's kind of nasty, the thing that's going public between him and Bernie. But like, for those that are watching, Bernie is Jimmy Butler's agent. But overall, you know, it's a tough game. And for his, you know, his integrity and his professionalism put on the line, and for him to triple down, and then also for, you know, Bernie to deflect and say, nah, you know, this guy is full of it. You know what I mean? We go into that situation. It gets really interesting, but flip it on the Miami Heat not wanting to give Jimmy Butler an extension. Yeah. I think that's the real thing. And it's not on Shams, it's the obvious of like, hey, if a team doesn't want to extend their star and they haven't done it, what's the holdup
Yeah.
They're probably listening to other offers.
Right. And to like a lesser extent, same thing with Jonathan Kuminga and the Golden State Warriors. Not that Kuminga is a Jimmy Butler level player, but the fact that he didn't get extended, writing's on the wall, that is going to
like
be
eventually they're going to shop.
Exactly. What's kind of like, if you take the trade talks away from it, Miami's actually been playing pretty good basketball the last few weeks. And if Tyler Herro is able to sustain this level of play, all of a sudden it makes Bam look better too. Like because when Jimmy was missing time and Bam was like, the number one option, it was a little disappointing.
Yeah.
But now when Bam is like your 2 or 3, depending on how Jimmy's playing, it really does change like the dynamic of Miami and like what their ceiling could be, I think.
Yeah, no, for sure. The Houston Rockets are second in the West, 17-8, 7-3 in their last 10. They beat the Warriors to make it to the semifinals of the Emirates NBA Cup. Ime Udoka.
It's crazy. I'm almost hesitant to say, but he is coaching so well that we just kind of like don't talk about like the past.
We shouldn't.
No, but you know what I mean?
Keep it basketball themes.
Exactly.
I say keep it basketball as my theme for the year.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If you want to talk to me about anything, you want to debate with me about anything, keep it basketball, keep it between the lines. And then we can have a healthy conversation about this.
Sure.
And then also, he's no longer with that organization.
Absolutely.
So, clean slate. You know what I mean? He has a similar roster that he had last year, kind of got a few guys out of there that weren't kind of aligned with the program, and they're defending. They're doing what they're supposed to do. They play hard.
They love. You can tell that they like love playing for them, because Ime was even talking about Şengün after the most recent game, and was just basically explaining why they were going offense defense with him, where he was coming out. And I feel like some players might not react well to some criticism like that, but you can tell like the buy-in that the team has around him, that they're just like going to war with him every single game, and they've just got so many dudes that defend. Man, I know we got Amin Thompson. We'll talk about in a little bit. But like they just throw guys out there, and whoever's out there is going to defend so hard. Honestly, it feels like a little Orlando Magic-ish, the way that they just kind of get up in everybody's grill.
Yeah, absolutely. I seen some rumors about Jimmy Butler potentially going to the Rockets, but as of today, those rumors were shut down, which is smart. I mean, I think this core, give it about 2-3 years, they're going to actually be making deep runs if they stay healthy. And probably add one more player or whatnot, you know what I'm saying, from there, as far as a vet that can do what they needed.
Yeah.
And they'll be fine.
And I would look like across state borders and what OKC did last season, and like just go see what you have in the playoffs. You know, you guys haven't had a playoff series yet. Go see what it looks like, and then you can see what you need to address and go from there, instead of making a drastic move now. They've just got so much young talent that you have no idea what they are going to do in a playoff series yet.
Yeah, they're damn good.
Like their third overall pick is DNPs, like not playing yet. That's how deep this team is.
Yeah. And I mean, I've seen, a friend of the program, Tom Haberstroh, go crazy over Reed Shepherd. I love Reed Shepherd, but he got to defend.
Yep.
I mean, you can't just go out there and just shoot.
Not on Ime's team.
But I do think that Reed Shepherd will get his shot.
I do too.
He's kind of in a similar situation as JJ Redick in Orlando back in the day.
It's a good comp.
He'll get a chance to show what he can do. I highly doubt they move him, but
no, I don't think so.
For right now, he'll get his time.
Yeah, that wasn't even a shot at like. I think he's definitely going to play at some point. But
you just got to find it. And the same thing with Cam Whitmore and things of that nature. Like they have pieces that other people want, and maybe they can use it in their leverage of trade talks and things of that nature.
Absolutely, I'm excited to see them in the playoffs, just because I do think their style of play translates to playoff basketball. Actually, that game against Golden State was 91-90. That was like a playoff game right there.
Yeah, it definitely had playoff atmosphere. You know what I mean? A lot of trash talk. I'm still sticking with my Steve Kerr's a bad coach agenda right now.
Man, Steve has been like
he's in his own way.
Yeah, it's happening too much.
Yeah.
I'm hearing too much, like the complaining afterward. Like, why don't you hit a shot in the last 3 minutes? Yeah. I mean, that would have changed things instead of like a foul call. It's just a little.
He's had more good days than bad days. So I'm not trying to dunk on him. Like, I mean, he's one of the winningest coaches, NBA champion, has changed that dynamic of team. But I just think this year has been the biggest challenge. You know what I mean? Like, Pat Spencer and Potts, Buddy Hill, like a lot of changes that you have to incorporate into Warriors culture, and I think that a lot has changed since Bob Myers left and Klay Thompson, and the list goes on that organization and the changes, and it's kind of evident.
Yeah. I imagine their roster looks a little different when we get closer to the trade deadline.
I can see that. I can see that as well. All right, let's move on to next man up. We have Anthony Black.
Whew.
He plays for my Orlando Magic.
Yeah.
Needs to be a 30-minute game guy. No Franz, no Paolo, but still 17-6-3 with 3 steals, 1 block against the Bucks in the quarterfinals. Tell me more about that.
Man, he's like long. He can defend. He's like that because I know they're bringing Cole Anthony off the bench a little bit more now with no Franz to try to find offense, and he's kind of like the perfect guy to bring out there with Cole because of how aggressively he defends. And I don't know, he just seems like he has a ton of upside. Like as he gets more comfortable, as he gets more reps, I think if Orlando is to survive this like next stretch, because I think Paolo's not too far away from coming back. Yeah, so if they're able to survive this stretch, I think it's going to be because, well, one, Suggs, who we'll talk about, but I think it's because Anthony Black is going to have a bigger role with this team.
Yeah, I mean, he kind of reminds me of James Harden, Oklahoma City Thunder. Just kind of like waiting his turn, but like adding so much value. You know what I mean? Like James was a defender. A lot of people don't remember, but he was getting in and fitting him when he get it. He wasn't like technically 3 or D, but he could shoot a mid-range. He was cutting, but he would come in and defend first.
Yeah.
And that kind of equated into the offense. So sky's the limit on Anthony Black. I always was high on him. And I'm glad that, year 2, he really locked in and kind of turned things around. So for the better.
And this is what, like, we kind of said this about Franz when Paolo went down, but like the benefits of these like injury runs that happen, right? Where these stretches of games where you don't have your main facilitators and playmakers out there is it gives opportunities for guys to step up, to be the next man up, so that when you get later into the season, into the playoffs, you now have guys that are like game ready, that have been through it, that can take on a different role. And because they're going to need them. If they're going to make a real playoff run, like they're going to need guys like Anthony Black to step up and play like meaningful minutes, I think.
Well, it also just builds the confidence. It makes it feel like you have 2 set of starters. You know what I mean? If you can go 10 deep, good luck.
Yeah.
And obviously they ran into a Cavs team, well-coached Cavs team, and I'm sure they won't avoid them this year either. So, it's interesting.
If they are healthy, they are going to be so scary in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Magic.
You mentioned Amen Thompson earlier. It's getting harder for Ime to keep him off the court.
He has to
Gotta find some minutes.
Dude, he does everything. And what I love about him is if like Jalen Green doesn't have it or Fred VanVleet doesn't have it, we'll slide Amen in there, right? And he can play like the 1, the 2. If Jabari Smith Jr. doesn't have it, he can even slide in, play a little 3-4 as well. Like he can just do everything. And I'm sure if Ime's seen it, and he's like, it's like he's got this brand new toy that he can put in all these different places. And you're already seeing it. Like his minutes are going up and up. And he's fun. He's like just super fun to watch.
Yeah, I mean, it's like I said, Houston has good problems. Guys, that means the practices are competitive and guys are trying to find their way to get on the court. You know what I mean? And this is probably like the modern day Doberman defense that the Chicago Bulls had. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like not as dominant, but good enough to, kind of fixate on those things and really strap up, you know what I mean, as far as the defensive end.
That second unit when they bring out Thompson and Tyree Eason, I mean,
oh my
God,
goodness, Eason.
They're just swarming.
Backseat seatbelts. Yeah, buckle up. Buckle up when you see those two. Jalen Wells, I had to bring him up. You mentioned about the 8 guys shooting over 35% with the Grizzlies. Jalen Wells, he's 11.5 points per game, 38% from the 3. One of the purest catch and shoot guys that we have in the league right now. Yeah. Absolute steal for Memphis.
Dude, I feel like I'm pretty locked in. I had not heard the name Jalen Wells prior to this.
D2 guy.
Yeah.
D2 guy. You wouldn't have heard him.
And Memphis is so good at doing this. Like their front office does this all the time. Like Santi Aldama's another example of it. They just seem to find Gigi Jackson, Vince Williams Jr. They just find guys and that immediately can make an impact. And he's another one. They're going to have to keep playing him. I don't think the plan was to play him.
No, they didn't expect him to be that good. Yeah. I mean, it is what it is. And when you can shoot like that, you got to play.
Absolutely.
Moving right along to the hot hand, SGA.
It feels cheating to put SGA on this list. Like we should be digging deeper into our bag to
but if he's
highlight
hot,
guys.
He's hot.
Man, he's so good. And he is shooting threes.
Yeah.
And it's not like
34 from 3.
right. And I don't think, which I think is his same percentage, but he went from shooting like 3 a game to 6 a game now. Like he's doing this on volume and it's not experimental anymore. And if he's able to do that, I mean, good Lord, how do you defend him? Like
I think he's probably one of the toughest like players to guard in the NBA. You know, he has the size. He can post up. He can get to the rack. He can get to the line. He can shoot the 3, as you mentioned. He's adding a little bit more of that to his game. You truly can't check him. And like he had a chance to be the most valuable player last year, and he'll get his chance again this year. I mean, Jokic is obviously playing like a madman, despite his team struggles. Yeah, but we'll see how that goes as well. Yeah,
and I think with the MVP conversation, at least like maybe I shouldn't speak for everybody, just me. It always felt like it was like, oh, there's Jokic, Luka, and Giannis. There's a little bit of a tier break, and then you'd find like your SGAs, your Tatums, and that crew. Yeah. I like that gap no longer exists. No. I don't know. He's right up there with them, and the best team in the West. They're not even healthy. You got Chet and some velour suits on the sideline, just living his best life while he gets help.
Tails and all that other stuff, like just, just do-rag on and just shout out to Chet. He's an amazing kid from Minnesota. Yeah. Tyler Herro, we talked about him earlier. Career highs in points, rebounds, and assists: 24, 5, 5, 48 from the field, 43 from the 3, 87 from free throw.
Yeah. He's doing everything. Do you think he gets to the All-Star game?
I think he gets in.
I think so too. I was trying to think of like who the guards are in the East, and right, we was like Brunson, obviously.
And, Donovan Mitchell. I think Cleveland gets in 3.
You think so? Spida, Mobley,
Garland and Mobley.
Yeah, Garland's been great too.
Jalen Brunson.
Yeah, Brunson, and then I'm trying to like, I guess if you consider Jaylen Brown a guard, I don't know what they're considered, but
yeah,
but I can't even think. Like I feel like he's got to be on the fringe of getting in there.
I could see that.
Yeah,
I could see that, man. He's playing really well if they keep it up. You know what I mean? So. Yeah, he's balling, man. He's really balling. Speaking of balling, Jalen Suggs, man. His confidence is on the elevator right now. It's just continue to go up.
Yeah.
Literally the next man up, right? Mm-hmm. You had Paolo go down. You had Franz go down, a similar injury. And now Jalen Suggs getting those, touches. He's, basically averaging 29 points per game since Wagner went down. And averaging 14.5 in the fourth.
That's crazy.
That's crazy.
That's going to be, 14.5 in the fourth. That has to be, is he leading the league in fourth quarter score?
He might be.
Wow. They had no business being in that game against Milwaukee. Like I couldn't believe, and that's not even, I'm not hating on the Bucks either. I just like the way that they defended, especially the end of that third into the fourth, how they like came back into it a little bit more. The way they play defense, they are always going to be in the game.
Hey man, defense is important.
Yeah.
Just very mirroring of Houston.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like those games that you may think that they're not supposed to be in, they're going to be in every single time because they play hard. Guys 1 through 10. You know what I mean? Whoever gets called, they're going to play hard or they're not going to see the floor at all.
True.
You know what I mean? And the injury bug has been in Orlando and it's still going to be in Orlando. But you know what? Jamal Mosley is always prepared. And we're going to talk about that in Trey's magic minute. But Evan Mobley, all-star.
Yeah.
All-star. 21, 11, 4 on 56, 40, and 80.
He's answering every question that people had, right? Like, I think there was concern offensively. Was he going to be able to be consistent enough? And through 30% of the season, he's absolutely been consistent enough. He's been great for Cleveland.
Shouts to Stolly, Cleveland Cavaliers fan. We were talking in our group chat to Kevin Durant, and Kevin Durant worked out with Evan Mobley. He's like, Evan Mobley looking good this year.
Yeah.
Right? This is the summer. And I was like, you sure? Because he took a few steps back.
Yeah.
Right? And I was concerned. I'm like, we were pretty high on him. You know what I mean? Shouts to E-Tope and Compton Magic. You know what I mean? He was one of those guys that, had an exceptional rookie year and then had the year 2 slump. And now he's a bucket getter right now. Like, the Cavs' big 3 is a real threat.
100%. And then Kenny Atkinson, man.
Yeah,
he gets his best out of his bigs too. Yeah. Like he's so good with that. I'm sure Jared Allen welcomed him with open arms when he came.
And Evan Mobley's shooting the 3 really well. Making it harder for him to be guarded.
And that's the thing. That's like, that opens up the entire offense. If you're able to keep Mobley and Allen out there together, and Mobley just is a threat to knock down the three, completely changes their ceiling.
Yeah, I mean, it just gets to that point. So, I mean, shout outs to the Cavs, shout outs to Evan Mobley. If you keep this up, Tyler Herro, you may be going to San Francisco soon.
Let's get it.
30-second timeout.
Man, we're going to just start calling this the Indiana Pacers segment, I think. What is going on? And I feel like when we talked about
they got cool Nike jerseys, though.
That's how damn bad they are right now. Is they're like, well, we do like their jerseys, though. But we talked about them last time. I was like, well, you know what? I think Halliburton might be a little dinged up. Like, maybe he's not 100% healthy. They'll, like, figure it out. We already knew they couldn't get it done on the defensive end consistently. They're not doing it on the offensive end either. And it doesn't seem like, not to be, reading into body language, I'm not there, I don't know. It doesn't seem like they're enjoying the basketball they're playing either right now.
It's tough, man, honestly. I think they got to kind of realign roles. Is Halliburton their best player? He
is taking the shots like he's their best player, but I don't know if he is executing like he's their best player.
I think we got to have a come to Jesus moment and just say, hey, our guy is, and kind of crown somebody else, because it's getting a little dicey over there, man. They're playing losing basketball, and that's one thing, sure, you know what I mean? But at the end of the day,
I mean, and even like
you got Siakam, Nembhard, Mathurin, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know, Miles Turner. You got to find it from somewhere, but it's just not good. The vibes are bad in Indy.
Yeah, the vibes are bad. And I think you're right. Like, the roles feel a little shaky. Like, maybe Halliburton still does think he is the number one guy, but I don't know if
he's marketed as.
Absolutely.
And he was an all-star.
And last year he was like a top 15 player up until that injury, right? Like, he was playing out of his mind. But I wonder, like, are his teammates looking at him in the same way too? Or are they kind of like, because Siakam's numbers have dipped too, but I think all of that has to do, when Halliburton is playing his best basketball and he's knocking down the shots, it also opens up lanes for everybody else. But now that he's not knocking down the shots, everybody's sagging off him a little bit. Those lanes aren't there. And so you're seeing Siakam's numbers change a little bit. I mean, you know who's been their best player in stretches is TJ McConnell.
Shout out to TJ McConnell.
McConnell's been out there. I feel like
just play hard.
Yeah.
Just play hard, and everything works out for you.
Yeah. So I don't know what Indiana needs to do. I'm like pretty disappointed with them. I thought they were going to be, again, I don't know if they were going to go back to their Eastern Conference Finals again or something like that, but I thought they were going to be in that range with everybody else, with the Miamis, the Knicks, like just kind of flirting with them. But they're closer to Chicago. And
they had some lack of front court depth, but I just don't think that should just knock them all the way down.
No.
You know what I mean?
That's not helping them, but that's not the problem.
Yeah. My suggestion more so is just to kind of not have a team meeting, just really focus on who you're running your offense through and ride their back into the sunset. You know what I mean? Try to figure it out and get some type of wins, at least getting, don't finish at the bottom.
No.
Don't finish at the bottom.
You can't. Not in the East, man.
Let's go out west to Lakers.
Yeah, I think they might be in a little bit of trouble.
Yeah.
And I know.
Last time we talked, I think I bigged up LeBron James. LeBron James he missed the game for personal reasons, which he's allowed to do. Are you concerned?
Not even about LeBron, honestly. Like we kind of
talked to say he has good numbers.
Yeah, and we kind of talked about this before too. I think like LeBron's doing great for where he is in his career, right? Like he is their second best player.
Yeah, I think he's averaging 23 points a game.
Yeah, but the problem is this team isn't built to defend right now. I don't think so. And you're relying a lot on guys like Austin Reeves, who's missed a handful of games. So I like Reeves' game. D'Lo's playing a lot. Like Rui's playing a lot. Like they're just not defending. And I mean, I know teams go through slumps and you'll like hit some snags, but they don't seem like they have the roster construction to defend in a meaningful way that they're going to compete in the West. I'm sure there's still flirt with that.
How do you fix the Lakers?
I don't even know. I don't know what kind of move could be made.
Does a Dennis Schroeder, does a Jonas Valanciunas, does that really solve anything?
I don't think that. I mean, Schroeder has been playing great this year. I think that, and having another ball handler in there, that's not, because right now it's like LeBron, Gabe Vincent when he's out there, Reeves. So I think Dennis could help a little bit. But to me, I don't know. Like, I think defensively is where it's killing them. Like, I think and maybe they're saying they need more offense because I know Levine's name's been thrown out there and Ingram's name's been thrown out there.
I mean, Bronny James did have 30 last night, so he might be ready to add the offense.
I saw your tweet about what is 30 in the G League?
Basketball math.
And I did not know it was Bronny that had scored 30 until later. So that was kind of how I was introduced to it.
Yeah, I mean, I tried to not use the keywords. You know what I mean? The keywords are, but again, shout outs to Bronny. He's made, some type of improvement. That's a huge improvement. Like, you know what I mean? We constantly get on him about being aggressive, and he showed it, but now it's consistency. You know what I mean? In those things. Quincy Oliveri, he scored his first NBA points not too long ago. And that's a positive. But then you got Dalton Connect that potentially could be playing some games and getting some minutes. But that Lakers team is nasty when LeBron's not on the floor.
It is tough. And I don't think LeBron's playing tonight either. No. And so I'll be curious to see how they look tonight. But I don't know. Do you think there is a move that makes sense that all of a sudden vaults them into that like top 4 conversation?
Not so much.
Yeah.
Not so much. I think, like I said, just got to take it game by game. Like I think this is where the dog days is coming for JJ, and he has to like really lock in and find a way to claw out.
Yeah.
But get his team to continue to trust him, because like again, when at the beginning of the season, it was Pat Riley 2.0.
Right.
You know what I mean? And everybody was like, you know, and now the smoke is cleared. A lot of people have scattered. I'm still rooting for JJ. He has a tough, tall task.
Absolutely.
Coaching, 2 Hall of Famers, and then also like a team of, veterans that are trying to just even figure out, trying to stick around in the league and play consistent games. So, they got some work to do, whether it's the trades or just in internal personnel.
I think it's like one thing when you're just getting beat. There was like 2 or 3 games in a row where it just felt like they weren't really competing on that defensive end. I think that's where it gets scary, right? And that stuff snowballs. But they came back, got a victory after that. So hopefully maybe LeBron gets some time off, miss a couple games. I mean, get some rest.
I mean, look, turning 40 in 2 weeks. So you know how that goes.
Yeah, I do know how that goes.
Yeah.
I do know how that goes.
Pelicans again.
Oh, man. What?
CJ McCollum's playing well.
He is.
He's playing well.
36 last night? Yeah. He looked like Jalen Suggs in the 4th, the way that he was getting buckets.
I know, man. Look, man, at least that's one bright spot in New Orleans, you know what I mean? Like that we can kind of say. Lost Brandon Ingram to a potential flop. I don't know how to call that. You know what I mean? Like Lou Dort was defending a little hard. Didn't give him enough chance to land. I don't think Lou did that purposeful, but the foul was on Ingram.
Yeah.
It was so strange. He rolled his ankle and it was a bad sprain, and he's out for some games. And then got the Zion situation. Like, you trying to figure out if you waive him or do you move him. You know what I mean? Like, it gets really, really strange. So, and they've been banged up all season.
Yeah, and that's what kind of sucks about it all, is that I feel like we don't even have a good idea of what the team looks like. Yeah. And for it to be unraveling without them even having the attempt to play basketball, And then the quotes around Zion make me a little uncomfortable too. Like, I felt like he wasn't close to coming back, and then it was like, oh, he actually wanted to go to New York the whole time, and then like all that stuff is not great. Like, we don't need that coming out right now.
Yeah, but I won't punish him for that. I mean, at the end of the day, you focus on what's on the court.
For sure.
He obviously is injured, so he can't play.
Yeah.
But I'm not about to just give him a hard time off the court, because like you only, as NBA players, you got 3 hours of practice. You're doing all these things. If you want to build team chemistry and team camaraderie, you're going to go places still. And you're going to do that thing. But everyone just wants to see him, play. And this season, Goga has more rebounds, more minutes played.
Yeah.
It just looks crazy, man.
Yeah.
So hopefully, Zion, we want you back on the court. I think that they're going to be moving some guys. They
have to. Now they have no choice. I mean, they have 5 wins, I think, through the first 20. I think that's where they're at right now.
It's rough.
Yeah, and they just have to go get draft picks. Like, that's what they have to do. So, like, I don't know whether it's CJ, whether it's Ingram. I don't know. Well, I'll be curious to see what they do. I feel bad for Willie Green too, because again, like you can't even look at the coaching and being like, this was on you. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you definitely can't blame Willie.
No.
Willie's been dealt some tough cards.
Yeah.
And I feel bad. Like, that's the thing. Amin asked me on Bomb about, like, who's a good coach and bad coach, because he was kind of sticking up for Steve Kerr. And
Yeah.
I don't blame him. Like, I mean, I don't think... I say it all the time, and it's not even trying to be, like, funny of, like, Steve Kerr being a bad coach, but, like, bad things, occurring while coaching.
Right.
To, like, spin it in a positive.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because all NBA coaches deserve their spot, I feel.
Yeah.
Right? And they get a chance, but, like, the young coaches, they're going to hit some bumps in the road trying to figure out their team. They're not going to figure it out in a year. You know what I mean? Like, that's not going to happen. But then there's the coaches that have been winning for so long, and then, like, the group has tuned them out.
Right.
And you got the coaches in the middle, like, you know what I'm saying? And in this case, Willie Green, good coach, positive guy, but injuries aren't on his side. And yeah, that's always a tough one.
Yeah.
The Suns. Kevin Durant's back today. He'll play tonight. But without Kevin Durant, Suns are, like, they're not great.
No, I mean, they got one win, I think, without KD this season. I think it's one win. It's tough, man. I mean, if I'm Kevin Durant, I'm probably feeling pretty good.
He doesn't feel good about it. I mean, I think the thing is obviously he's the ultimate teammate.
Of course.
And obviously wants his team to do well. And even talking positive, he gave me a hard time for talking about Ryan Dunn's free throw percentage.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, and he's like, why did you even bring that up?
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, I still got to critique it. You know what I mean? Like, at the end of the day, it's not great. So I think that, they're in a limbo too. You don't want to make the trade for Jimmy Butler, for Brad Beal, because that just sets him up even more backwards.
Well,
and then I just look at it. No, you're good. I just look at it as, I honestly don't know with that team. Like,
I mean, if they are healthy, I think they have a shot to win the West. I believe that. I really do. Like, when KD has been playing this year.
This is an educational take?
I think so. I don't think. Do you think this is too hot? I think because I really think it's like OKC, and then I think there's a pretty big gap.
But, like, we're relying on one player at this point.
I know. But it's like the skeleton key. You put KD in there, and then
on paper, sure.
Everybody else.
On paper, I'm rolling with it.
Yeah,
I'm
but
like,
even in the small sample that we've had of them playing together with everybody on the court, I think that, I mean, I don't know. They've looked as dangerous as anybody else in the West when they're all out there. But again, I mean, you're relying on everybody to stay healthy, and, like, Brad's had a tough time like consistently staying out there. But if they can, I mean, I like it. Like, Grayson Allen's been playing a little bit better off the bench. He's been knocking down the jumper. He's looked nice. So I don't know. We just need him healthy. KD's too good. We need him on the court.
Yeah, I mean, look, with the Suns getting Durant back, they're gonna look like, they were a month ago. So,
yeah.
I mean, it's not anything crazy. I think that they're able to pick it up.
Yeah.
But it's just, he's sorely missed.
100%.
So, despite whether you want to put him in your MVP conversation, he is the most valuable player in the Phoenix Suns.
I mean, for sure. I mean, and I feel bad for, like, Book has struggled a little bit. I mean,
still think I think people are being unkind to Book right now, saying that, Budenholzer has, like, hurt his game.
No,
things of that nature. I mean, shooters have their slumps and things of that nature, but at the end of the day, Devin Booker's still Devin Booker.
Oh, 100%.
Devin Booker's most likely going to be All-Star too.
Yeah. And I wasn't even saying, that wasn't even a slight towards Book. I think, like, the responsibilities change when someone like KD comes off. The responsibilities change, like, quite a bit,
Yeah, for sure. Player of the game. I got Trae Young. Hey, Trae Young. Hey, buddy. Come have a seat. You're at the MVP table, buddy. You're not at the top of the seat, but you just got in. You just made it. We saved your seat. Number 10 MVP rankings right now.
Is he really? I didn't even see that. Oh,
yes. Wow. 20.9 points per game, 12.2 assists per game, 1.3 steals.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, Atlanta looks like a different team right now.
Yeah.
Looks like a different team for the last, like, 4 or 5 years, and people seem to be having a good time. And I don't think you could say that about a Hawks team for the last couple of years.
You know why? He's wearing Jordans now.
That's it.
He's wearing Jordans now. When you wear Jordans, you play like a
That changed everything.
But he's a better leader. Shouts to him taking that challenge. He had, like, a little bad stain on him.
Mm-hmm.
You know, people are saying like entitled, spoiled, you know, selfish. Complete opposite this season.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Like having fun out there, still being a villain to the New York Knicks, you know, as I wear a New York Rangers shirt.
The dice roll?
The dice roll was so good.
That
like,
was
on point for Vegas. He got to work on his role though.
Yeah.
It's very gentrification. It's okay. You could tell he has never rolled dice before, but you know, Trey, keep doing your thing and
great.
continue to climb, and you're gonna be an all-star this year, buddy, for real. Domantas Sabonis, 21 points, 13 rebounds, 6 assists. Had a great game last night.
They finally beat the Pelicans, who they couldn't beat at all last year. I think they went 0 for 6 last year on them. And
also
different Pelicans team.
Different Pelicans team, but you know, shout outs to that.
No, they need it. They finally got back up to 500. What do you have, like 32 and 20 last night? Like, they need Sabonis to be like all NBA level so that they can get back into
an all-star game with like no hassle. You know what I mean? Because like that's the thing for him. You know what I mean? Like overall, he's always on that borderline, and that's unfair because he really works hard and plays hard.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know what time it is. I wish I gotta get some theme music.
Yeah,
we gotta work on something.
We need a drop.
But it's Trey's Magic Minute. I want to shout out Jamal Mosley. He's been holding it down. Despite injuries, we can make all excuses for him. That team has been playing hard and representing him the right way. You hear the praise around the league, specifically the Bucks, right? Damian Lillard says the Magic is his favorite team to watch on League Pass.
I've watched Orlando play a lot of times. So just, you know, seeing Paolo go out and seeing how they played from there, and then you see Franz go out and they go out there and beat the Suns.
And you should too. Also, 10-0 at home. Hashtag make it magic.
Hashtag making magic.
Hashtag make it magic. Any shout outs before we wrap this thing up?
No, I like the Mosley shout out, Coach of the Year. Just book it.
Book it.
They're 17 and 10 still, while their two best players have been missing a ton of time. Let's go. I'm in.
DeAndre Hunter.
It's a good one.
6th man of the year.
I'll give Peyton Pritchard too. I'll throw him out there.
Oof.
Let's get Peyton Pritchard. Get him at the 3-point contest.
Yeah, I like
that.
Game. I like that. 3-point P. For Mike Z, Trevon Edwards, that's Hoop Sense.